I bet you that Detroit Lions fans would have never guessed that when Brad Holmes would be hired by the Detroit Lions, that in 2024, you would start to have a Brad Holmes front office tree. When we talk about it with Dan Campbell, a coaching tree that is going to happen with Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson and all these coaches on his staff that are highly regarded coaches. It's the same thing with Brad Holmes in the front office. There are so many guys in that front office that have already left, and he's brought in new guys, with one of those guys being Charlie Adkins, who formerly was a part of the Arizona Cardinals as their analytics manager. Now he joins the Detroit Lions to be the senior director of football administration, who is now replacing Brandon Sosna, who spent the prior 2 seasons with the Detroit Lions. He was formerly before that, I believe, with the Cleveland Browns. And he basically handled the same duty. He oversaw salary cap management, strategic planning, serving as their chief contract negotiator. And he was an integral part of this front office. And he, of course, left to join the Commanders as the senior vice president of football operations. And it's not just Brandon who left. Lance Newmark also left to join Adam Peters with the Washington Commanders this past offseason, or at least this offseason, rather. 26 years with the Lions, Lance Newmark had. 26 years. And he joins the Commanders to be the assistant general manager under Adam Peters. You guys obviously saw that in the news as well. And I didn't even mention Dave Sears, who left the Detroit Lions to join the Arizona Cardinals. He was the college scouting director of the Detroit Lions since 2007 and was credited with, his fascination with James Houston, which influenced Brad Holmes to go ahead and pull that trigger and draft him. Now he's an assistant GM in Arizona for the Cardinals. So Lance Newmark, assistant GM with the Commanders now. Dave Sears, assistant GM in Arizona. Brandon Sosna, who is now the senior vice president of football operations in Washington with the Commanders. You have 2 of the 3 guys who departed. 2 of them are joined the Commanders, which we all know the Commanders, they're trying to change the culture, and what better way to do that than bring people from proven organizations. Adam Peters, obviously, with the 49ers as well. So they get some pretty good hires there, especially in this Lions front office. But yes, Charlie Adkins joins the Detroit Lions. And again, this isn't necessarily a breakdown of Charlie Adkins. I'm sure he's a great hire. If you watch the Arizona Cardinals behind the scenes of the draft video, you actually saw Charlie in that video as well. And I'm sure Brad Holmes understands, hey, this is what comes with the territory. If you're a good organization, you're going to have guys leave, especially when you're winning. It's not just the coaching staff, it's also the front office. And teams around the NFL are going to look at the Detroit Lions and think to themselves, well, I can't hire Brad Holmes, so I'm going to hire all of the people that help him be great. And you still have the mad scientist, which is all that matters. But yes, you're going to have guys leave. And you're going to get to a point where, like the 49ers now with Adam Peters, who was under John Lynch with the 49ers. He's now the GM of the Commanders. You're going to have the same thing with the Detroit Lions, where Brad Holmes, guys that work under him, are going to become GMs. And I think Lance Newmark and Dave Sears, 2 guys that are now assistant GMs for other teams who were integral parts of the Detroit Lions, they're going to eventually get opportunities. And this is such a great thing. I mean, if you've been a Detroit Lions fan all your life, you understand that as this organization, this just, at least in your lifetime, my lifetime, for the most part, depending on how old you are, has been a laughingstock. No one ever got hired to get a promotion elsewhere. Typically, it was the opposite. This is where coaches came to die, and this is where front office members kind of just stayed or were fired, relieved of their duties. And now you're having just a complete 180 with people in the front office leaving for promotions and now new guys coming in to assist Brad Holmes. And this is the biggest adjustment that I think Lions fans have to make in the Lions organization. You're going to lose a Ben Johnson. You're going to lose an Aaron Glenn, assuming he goes out this year and just shows out a top 15 defense. And you're going to lose other guys as well. Dan Campbell has proven that he's not someone that isn't afraid to hire good assistants. He's going to bring in great coaches, knowing that eventually those coaches are going to end up leaving for promotions. It's just what comes with the territory. And I think Ben Johnson will be the first one to leave. But with this front office, it's super interesting because Brad Holmes is the face of the front office, but there's so many guys that work behind the scenes that are so valuable. And that's what comes with winning a lot of football games and being sustainable over a long period of time. I mean, how do the 49ers do it? How do the Eagles do it? How do the Chiefs do it? Well, they all have the common denominator there, which is the GM. So even though these guys are leaving, new faces are coming in, you still have the man that built it all with Brad Holmes. And I know Lomas Brown mentioned this in an interview with Wood TV, how his biggest fear is a team trying to poach Brad Holmes away, which I don't think that would ever happen. But they're going to try and get as close as they can. And that's hiring his right-hand man or someone that's in the front office. And Ray Agnew is up next. I think Ray Agnew is going to be a GM sooner than later. And if you follow All Lions coverage, you know exactly who Ray Agnew is. He is Brad Holmes' right-hand man. He's the assistant general manager. He speaks to the media. Very, very smart guy. And you want to bring up Brad Holmes in his talent evaluation, you also got to bring up the scouts and guys like I just named, Lance, Dave, and Brandon, who formerly worked with the Lions that were big parts of this front office. I think Ray Agnew is another guy who's a big part of this front office. When Brad Holmes comes out and says he loves a player, Ray's right behind him. He loves the player as well. And he spoke this past last couple of months. I think after the draft, he spoke too, talking about their draft picks and how he absolutely was in love with the guys. So prepare for this, Lions fans. It's the inevitable. It's what comes with the territory. And Charlie Adkins, I'm sure he's going to be a great addition. They basically did a swap. Dave Sears went to Arizona to become their assistant GM, and then we went and snagged the analytics manager for a promotion in Charlie Adkins. But this is what the NFL is. So be prepared for it. What do you guys think of Brad Holmes and a potential front office tree? Who's next to be a GM? You have Lance Newmark, assistant general manager with the Commanders, Dave Sears, assistant general manager with the Cardinals, and then you have Ray Agnew, assistant GM with the Detroit Lions. Watch, this video will age very, very well. In a couple of years, at least two of these guys will be general managers. It's just the inevitable. GMs are fired every offseason or so, and new guys are brought in. And you want to bring those guys from great organizations, kind of like what the Commanders did with Adam Peters from the 49ers. I think Ray Agnew will be the first one. Book it. Check out our live show Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And don't forget, like the video and subscribe. You guys have been doing a great job. And I think over 50% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed. So do it. Hit the subscribe button. Until next time, I'll catch you guys.